It's Billy with BLOQspcace, and I'm here with an exclusive interview. I have my good friend John here. I've known him for a long time, and I've had the pleasure to deal with him personally in the crypto space as well. So this is John Pangarelius with Blockchain Nation. Say hi, John.
What's up, guys?
All
Hi.
right. So John, I know you personally, but these guys don't. So tell me a little bit? How did you get into crypto? When did you get into crypto?
Yeah, so I'm John with Blockchain Nation. I've been in crypto since 2017. I've heard about crypto for actually quite a long time. I heard about it back in, I think, 2014. The price was either three or 400, if I remember. And I heard about it way back then through, I knew some people that were using it to buy and sell things. And I first heard about it, this, magical internet money. And when I first heard about it back then, I didn't really understand what kind of effect it could have because I understand the issues of like the double spend problem. I understood, how can you have this secure digital sense of value, but on the internet where other people can edit it and work with it. And so I overlooked it for quite a few years. And then I started hearing about it in the beginning of 2017, I think when a lot of people did. I heard about it because people were making money and I remembered it from a few years ago. So I said, maybe this is worth taking a second look at. So for me, I wasn't ready to jump in right away the first time I heard about it. I needed to research it and make sure that it actually could do all the things people were claiming it could do. And that's kind of how I got started. It just went uphill from there, just kind of dove into the deep end. So,
Nice.
yeah,
So you did your due diligence and your homework. I like that.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
well, what excites you the most about blockchain and
I think the thing that
cryptocurrency
excites me, what's that?
and cryptocurrency in general?
Yeah, yeah. So I think, I mean, there's definitely to me a difference between blockchain and cryptocurrency, and I think the big picture I look at is distributed ledger technology. And to me, distributed ledger technology is huge in its implications that I think not everyone fully understands yet. We're coming from this system that has a lot of friction, it has a lot of failure points, it has a lot of weak points, and it involves a lot of trust. And so when I first started understanding that you could distribute that trust and make it into a trustless system, that started to open up a lot of doors in my mind. I started to realize the potential for it. And as people started to talk about things like supply chain management and realizing that it brings integrity into a lot of places in an old system that didn't have integrity before, that kind of started to open doors in my mind and made me realize how powerful it is. So I just think the decentralization of trust was really huge to me. And I think that's going to allow our society to move forward in a more honest and in a more genuine fashion than we were able to before.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I like what uh, Andreas he always says it's trustless. So
Yeah.
actually, in the blockchain, you don't trust anybody. You actually quite the opposite. You don't trust anybody. And
Right.
I really love that idea because it's like you only the code is right. You know that the trust system is built into the code that is open source and reviewed by thousands of people. So you don't have to worry about the banks or the centralization. So, a little bit off topic, but I wanted to ask you. You said you got in early 2017, and obviously, there's been a lot of wild swings over the last year. So, what's that been like for you? Is because I know for some people, it's about the technology and what it can do for society, but it's also a lot of people have made money too. So it's kind of that balance in between where it's like you believe in this great technology, but also the swings are just insane. So, what's that been like for you?
Yeah, it's been fun. It's definitely been, it's taught me a lot about myself. And I think when people get into any kind of trading or any kind of financial situations, it starts to bring out flaws that you didn't see in yourself. So, like, it's easy to say, don't get emotional about it. Those were principles that I knew before I got into crypto.
Yeah.
And I had had some experience in the past with things like penny stocks. I started trading stocks in high school. But when I got into the cryptocurrency, it was totally different. Like,
Yeah,
you didn't realize I never expected it to go as high as it did. I mean, I thought it had a bright future, but that blew my mind. And then to see it just drop off like it did this last
total
winter,
insanity. Total insanity.
yeah, it
Yeah.
really was. So it was definitely a wild ride. I can say that I'm grateful I stuck to a lot of the principles I set in my mind before. My idea was always have a plan and stick to the plan.
Yeah.
If the facts don't change, I mean, if the facts change, then that's different. But if the facts don't change, stick to the plan, and that's a big part of what got me through the ups and the downs.
So that's
The
how
other
you
big
dealt
thing
with
that
it.
got
That's how
what's
you dealt
that?
with the emotional aspect of it. Is you looked at the
Yeah,
core fundamentals of why you got it in the first place, and you stuck to that belief and realized that even though the price is down, the technology hasn't changed.
yeah, and
Right.
I mean a lot of it's perspective too. I mean, get rich quick sounds nice, but when you jump into it, you have to look at the bigger picture. I mean, on the year to date, we're still up. Like we're up by a massive amount. So when you keep in perspective and you say, okay, if I'm going to be in this for the next year, 2, 3 years, really we're doing all right.
Yeah.
So perspective helps a lot.
Well, one of the things I like to tell people is, especially during times like this when the market's a little bit choppy, is I love my proof of stake coins. Lisk, I have a couple other proof of stake coins, and they're always gaining basically interest. I'm gaining new coins all the time and making money. So I really like that because I look at my bank account. I think in my savings account, I'm getting like 0.1% for the year.
Right.
And I look at cryptocurrency and I'm getting 5 to 10 to 20%, depending on the proof of stake algorithms. But it's really a nice thing to be able to see your portfolio growing on its own. So
Yeah, and if I can say
yeah,
a good thing about proof of stake coins and Lisk and just proof of stake in general is I'm a big fan of the principles of dividends, or how proof of stake gives you rewards for staking your coins. A lot of people are aware of compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world, but people can get just asset appreciation confused with compound interest. You have an asset that's appreciating, but it's also giving you dividends. That's when you can start to see exponential returns. So I think
definitely.
that's a huge thing for proof of stake that makes it really, really powerful.
Plus, it's a lot more eco-friendly. So
Yeah,
real quick, where did you go for your information? How did you learn so much in the year's time that you've been working here?
yeah. The vast majority of it has been YouTube. I enjoy reading, but I'm busy. I'm always doing things, so it's easy to throw a YouTube on in the background.
Yeah.
So for the most part, I think the biggest influence for me has been Andreas Antonopoulos. He's like I think the pinnacle of blockchain wisdom as far as I've found. So if I'm looking for in-depth, technical, philosophical stuff, I usually turn to him, and he does a good job of answering it in an unbiased way and giving things that a lot of other people don't. If I'm looking for more fundamental trading kind of stuff, Data Dash I think has been the best channel for me to give a shout out to him.
Yeah.
Nick Merton
Yeah, he's
has
good.
been huge. So for me, YouTube. But then when I do have the time to sit down and really start digging in, I mean, the first place I'll go to is different projects' websites, see if they have a good website, see what information they put out, and then from there, I'll just Google search it. I end up on Reddit, end up on Wikipedia, and I'm the kind of person that actually likes the technical details.
Yeah.
There are a lot of 3-minute review things on YouTube, which are good to get the surface level. But if I'm going to trust my money in something or put work into something, I like to see how the ones and zeros work in the programs.
For sure, for sure. So, I need to take that opportunity a little bit, talk about the Liske Academy. What I personally like is it gets into the technical details like you were talking about, but it also starts from the beginning. And there's an Explain It Like I'm Five. Basically,
Yeah.
that, from the very beginning, the basic knowledge, all the way up to some of the more technical details. So I really like it. I feel like it's important for cryptocurrency as a whole because we have to be able to teach other people about it. Like you said, you got in early and or you heard about it a long time ago, but you didn't quite understand. And if you didn't have that mentality to go out and search for the information, you wouldn't know about it. So I believe if we really want to see this technology take off, then we have to do our part to educate other people. And that's really what we're about at BLOQspcace. So I know personally we've talked about this, but what do you think about what BLOQspcace is doing with our brick and mortar locations about teaching people blockchain, educating them on JavaScript and how to set up wallets and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I think that's incredibly important, and that's, I mean, as far as in my circle, that's the first I had heard. What BLOQspcace is doing is the first I had heard of people actually going out there and setting up actual locations and making it just really, really accessible for people. And even I did want to mention a little about the Liske Academy. I think that that's as far as I found, is the most concise resource for getting information on blockchain because it presents it in a very nice linear fashion where you start from the beginning, you can go as deep as you want.
Yeah.
And so that's something that's helped me out as well because it's all, you're not bouncing around the internet trying to scrape together different facts and different resources. So
yeah, because even
with blocks, I mean, I think what they've done is on a totally different level because they're actually getting out there and making these physical locations. I mean, if someone said, back in 2014, hey, Bitcoin's this great thing, you should learn about it, I'd be like, okay, and I didn't. But if someone was like, hey, there's this place up the street, go check it out, that'd be a different story. It'd be a lot more accessible.
Yeah.
So I think their focus is right. A lot of people are doing crypto consulting type things and online courses and things like that, which are good for the mass public. But I like how BLOQspcace is taking a targeted approach on future developers, on future movers and shakers in the industry, if you will. And the thing is, if blockchain technology is going to succeed, we have a massive infrastructure that we need to build.
Yeah.
There's a lot that needs to happen just between different coding languages, between people learning how to implement those on the blockchain. And I think BLOQspcace has a really good focus on what they're trying to do and who they're trying to raise up.
Don't forget the S word, to scale. The scaling issue is going to be a big one in the future, but we are working towards the goal. And one thing to note: our education is free. But I love what you said. Like I go in, even myself. I've been in for a while now, and I've taken the time to do my due diligence. But even with the Liske Academy, I'll go in and I have a good grasp of what's going on. But I can always go in and dig a little bit deeper. Like you said, and learn that little bit extra technical information. So tell me about Blockchain Nation.
Well, I want to say one thing on the BLOQspcace topic. The one thing that really struck me is obviously like economics come into a factor. Everybody's trying to make money, or if you're working towards something, there's always some incentive. But the thing I really liked about BLOQspcace is to see the integrity and the purpose. And when you look into BLOQspcace, the thing you realize is these are people who have already made it, so to speak, financially with careers, previous athletes, things like that. So for me, sometimes I err on the side of being a little cynical or skeptical, and it was a big reassurance for me when I was looking at some of the people that founded BLOQspcace to see that like this legitimately is not like a money grab for them.
No, it really isn't.
It's really about educating people, and that's super important to me because there are unfortunately a lot of two-faced people anywhere that there's money involved. So
yeah, for sure. I even had to take a hard look at it myself before I started here because it's such a foreign concept, but philanthropy and giving back is such a big part. It's a big part of my personal story. I know for you, I know your heart personally. I've known you for a long time, so I know that you and we have that in common, and that's what I love about BLOQspcace is they are doing their part to give back. Give back not just to the Liske community, but the communities in general. We're going into the children's hospitals, we're going into the schools, and we're talking to people, and we're just getting to know them and forming these relationships. And I think it's so important because that's really what's going to start to bridge the gap between people who don't know about crypto and to this great community. So with that being said, you have a little side gig that you've created, Blockchain Nation. Tell me about Blockchain Nation and what caused you to think of this idea. And
yeah, so I've been an entrepreneur for a while, probably about like half a decade, and before that I was always creative and doing projects and things. But actually, like last year when I first started really diving deep into the blockchain industry and realizing how powerful it was, I think like most people, I wanted to find a way to be more involved. How can I was spending an immense amount of time researching and talking to people, and you want to find a way to make that a bigger part of your life. So eventually I had the idea that a clothing brand would be a good idea. So right now our big thing is we're a brand, and I think we're the brand, as far as I can tell, that best represents the heart of what the blockchain community is about. I've noticed there are other brands cropping up, and a lot of them have this kind of over glamorized Wolf of Wall Street kind of flashy vibe to them, and to me that's not the core of the blockchain community.
I
That's
agree.
not what it's founded on. So I realized that some brand is going to spring up and is going to gain dominance in the industry. And I realized at this early stage, it gave me an opportunity to get started and maybe have a chance of being that brand or being in that position. And being in that position would give us an opportunity to have more influence in the industry, to kind of make sure that things are guided along what I feel is a straight path and that sticks to the core tenets of what blockchain is about. And I've noticed, just being in business and studying brands and marketing, unfortunately, a lot of companies and a lot of brands, they realize that they have an influence and that they affect culture through their marketing. And a lot of them have done that as kind of had negative side effects, and they've compromised for the sake of growth. And I'm realizing if there can be a brand that grows in the blockchain community and gains dominance, you can use that effect and influence, and instead of compromising for growth, you can use that influence to do good things in the community
I
and
agree.
make sure you have a positive voice. So that's what we're all about. Right now we're a brand. We sell apparel. We'll be selling other things shortly. In the future, we've got some bigger goals as far as partnering with some other people and doing some bigger things with some more reach. But yeah, that's who we are.
Well, that's awesome, John. Thank you so much, and I will leave a link to Blockchain Nation's website. Be sure to go pick up a T-shirt and support what they're doing. It sounds very
Thanks.
similar in the reason why we were founded. And thank you, John, for taking the time out of your day. It was a great
Thank you.
conversation. I look forward to having another one in the future, and good luck with everything that you have going on. Thank you, John.
Definitely. I appreciate it. Thank
All
you.
right, bye.